Hey, what's up everyone? It's Flexin' Joe, and I'm back with a trade recap video for you all today. This is my second options trade of the year, and the first one really just ended up being a quick scalp. You know, I recognized that it probably wasn't going to work and took the trade off pretty quick, and that's really not that exciting, and people don't want to see that. But seeing an options trade go into new all-time highs is a little bit more exciting, so that's what we're going to recap today on NVIDIA. Yesterday was a monster day for NVIDIA, you know, opening up around 495 and finishing it at 522. Crazy mover, right? So then if we fast forward into today's price action, what we see here in pre-market is that we're trying to hold 520. We push up to 528 in pre-market, excuse me, and then we just start to trail down and we start to fade. We catch a bounce here off this 5-minute 200. I like having the 200 EMA on my chart because a lot of times it does get interacted with, and price will respect it, right? I'm sure it's algos or whether it's retail traders who, you know, recognize it. A lot of people just tend to have orders here. We also see here that there was price action. There was a lot of like buying and selling, this little consolidation before the lift right here in this area. So that's what we bounced off of, right? And from there, I see that bounce. We bounced to a new high of day, and then I'm when I see this like starting to pull back, I'm looking to see here, is this golden zone, the 61.8 fib and 50% fib, you know, is that going to hold on the pullback? But also in my back testing, I've seen many times that this gray dashed line, which is the orb midline from the orb high to the orb low, this is exactly 50%. This area gets interacted with, and if we get buying and we get wicking off of it, usually that means that we're going to go back and we're going to retest the high at least. And so that's what I saw. I used that. I saw that interaction there. I sniped that entry right here at 1045. Just quickly to go to NQ, you know, at 1030, NQ had bounced off of its orb high and VWAP, and this was looking like a very, very bullish setup, right? You have the 200 EMA here. The EMAs are crossing. The 9 and the 20 are moving very decisively up and through VWAP and the 200. This is a very bullish setup, and if the market's looking very bullish, then I should be able to see something very similar happening on NQ. And, you know, kind of the rising tide lifts all boats type of thing, but NQ and the semi sector has been very strong, right? So, you know, I end up taking this trade on NVIDIA. I will go over the options contract with you in a minute, but I do snipe a great entry here on the 532.5 calls. You'll see right here, 532.5 at $3.25. This is my entry. And so my target, my first scale to be right in here where sellers were most recently sitting. And that ends up being a 2-to-1 risk reward on the first scale out, right? Because I was risking $50 a con. I'll show you that on the options contract chart, and I take a $100 scale. I had the order already sitting in there, so just hit it. And then I end up taking a little bit off here, a little bit more off here, another quarter off. And then when we break a new high of day, I take everything but one off, right? Because I didn't know how strong this resistance was going to be. I didn't realize or know at the time how strong NVIDIA was going to be. And it just absolutely just kept going. This area right here where we had this like hammer doji and then we lost the pre-market high, was so close to just saying, let me just take this all off here and just locking in a fantastic trade. But I held, I wanted to see, I knew we were a big distance away from this 5.9. I wanted to give it a chance to catch up, and we got another lift, and the market got another lift as well. So that was fantastic. These calls went in the money. And then I had never done this before, and I had never been in a trade where we are over all-time highs, and to look left, there's nothing there. So, you know, I was trying to decide how to use like fib extensions and just get an idea for where I might want to take this off. And what I ended up doing is using a fib extension, the 161.8 fib extension, and I did it from the all-time highs to today's lows. And so that extension put me at like 535. So at this point, right, the calls are getting deeper into the money. It's only Tuesday. I have some time on my side for Friday's expiration. But I see that we kind of like form a tweezer top here over this fib extension, over 535, and we start to lose that. And these candles, while they look small, this is 535.8 all the way down here. This is like a $2.50 move down, which is a sizable pullback, right? For most tickers. And so the options contracts really, they lost a lot of value like relatively quickly there. So, but seeing this and just thinking like, wow, I'm really far extended again from the 5.9. I'm probably due for a sizable pullback. This is where I exercised my stop and I got all out. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the options contract chart. And before I do that, just at the same time, check to see what NVIDIA was doing. Right, I'm sorry, what NQ was doing. So NQ was ripping, and I want to say that I stopped out. Yeah, it was around 12.15. And if we go to NQ, look, at 12.10, we put in this these candles here, and we started pulling back into the 5.9, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get another lift, another leg up or not, right? Because you can see NQ had already pulled back a few different times. But looking at this options contract chart, first off, these options were absolutely crazy. If you look at what they started out yesterday, they started out around like 35, 38 cents. But here you can see where I sniped that entry. I did have it on the 1 minute chart, which I will show you guys. So this was, really, really, really a sniper entry here. I do typically watch the 1 and the 5 when it comes to options, but there it was on the 1. And then on the 5, this is what I did to assign my risk, right? Like I was comfortable with 50 bucks a con, knowing that these would move kind of fast. I need some wiggle room. And honestly, I don't know that I would have let it go down necessarily that far, like to low of day, because obviously the options would be different. Like looking at NVIDIA, for my entry here, I'd probably be around the 5-minute 200, a little bit higher. But thankfully it didn't go down. It pretty much went up. And as they say, the best trades work almost immediately, which it did. But I saw that there was a lot of buying on these contracts right in this area, and that's why I wanted to use this area as a stop. So knowing that I risked 50 a con, my first scale I took off here. I took off a quarter of my position at 2-to-1 for 100 bucks a con. I took more of it off here for 140 a con, and everything off except for one for 200 a con, because this is an absolutely crazy, like fantastic trade in my opinion. And this scale here is again on some 11:15 candle, which is this one right here when we break the new high of day, right? So we just barely make a new high of day on the options contract charts. We make a new high of day on the underlyings chart. And really the reason for that second scale at 140 a con was we had broken over this orb high. And sometimes that's a resistance point. That's a sticking point, right? And I know that from past experience and back testing. And I was happy to just lock more in. Like that's a fantastic trade. So, I had let's just do that again, right? So a quarter of my position was locked in at 2-to-1, another quarter was locked in at almost 3-to-1, and then the rest of it, so almost half of the position was locked in at 4-to-1. And then what happened on the runner, right? So we move up here. I see price push up. It goes all the way up to nearly $1,000 a con from a 325 entry, about 200 or so percent. And a little more than 200%, I believe. And I just kept moving the stop up. And then so I just want to highlight this pullback, right? So this pullback, in order for me to have stayed in this, I would have had to have been comfortable with, that's $155, right? So at least $160 pullback, which in my opinion is a bit much. And I don't know where that's really going to go and where that's really, gonna take me, right? How far down it's gonna pull back against me. So I did end up taking a stop here. So this is where I had moved my stop up. You can see the price. I'll zoom in. The price is $8.95. So that was the last one, and that was my stop order because I had been moving my stop up on the ladder. So I stopped right about here, right? $8.95. And unfortunately, these continued to go, but there was another really big pullback right here as well. So we pulled back. This is about $240 in this pullback. So would I have stayed in for this? No, probably not. And eventually, you have to cut this, and it's just selling into strength or whatever. But for me, again, I was in uncharted waters. This was a great learning experience. I don't know where it's going to go. It's all-time highs. I was thinking, are we maybe going to hit 250? Or 550? Are we going to hit 540? Where's the end? Because there's going to be, at some point where it pulls back, people are going to take profits, right? So I felt really good about it at the time. Later on, I felt like, I didn't do that great, and I could have held, and I understand, using some things on the chart. I could have held, because we didn't have a candle by candle flip, which the CBC is an indicator for a candle by candle when the when the candle closes below the prior candle's close. We didn't have that. Sorry, this is NQ. I'm on the wrong one. Right here on NVIDIA, we didn't have a candle's close below. I just got out. Sorry, wow, I'm way up here. My bad. I just got out, right? You don't see the indicator actually turn on. It doesn't fire, right? We went long here. You don't get that short candle by candle indicator over here, which is at 1325. So had I gotten out when that indicator fired, which is this is why we do trade reviews, right? Maybe I would have, let's just say, wait for the candle close. I stop out at 1146. I would have been able to lock in about $250 more on the runner. So you live and learn. Maybe with slippage, $220 more. Live and learn. Was, in my opinion, a great trade, and I'm very happy about it. But let me know what you guys think, and I appreciate you guys for watching and all the support. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next trade recap. Thank you.